Hi, hello. Welcome to Miss Jarriel's Doodle Notes. Today we're going to talk about the process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Okay. Let's see. Let's begin with the structure where photosynthesis actually happens. Alright, so we have in our picture a nice big chloroplast. And it's kind of hard to see, but the chloroplast is going to be this big structure just like this. And on the inside there are a few smaller structures called the stroma and the grana. Excuse me. There are two different reactions that are going to happen in photosynthesis. One, we're going to make a little key. One is called the light-dependent reaction. And the other is called the light-independent reaction. You might also hear these referred to as the light or the dark cycles. So we're going to do our light cycle. We're going to use orange to help us color code. And then we're going to use pink, or I'm going to use pink. You use whatever colors you want, to model the light-independent cycle. Let's also add, this is sometimes called the dark cycle or the Kelvin cycle. Alright, so this is happening in the chloroplast. Step number 1, the light cycle. The light cycle is going to be happening in the grana. That's these little structures right here. So let's highlight a few so that we can see what's happening. These grana, or thylakoids, contain chlorophyll, which is a green pigment, there are also other pigments that you see in leaves, especially during like the fall and the winter time. These red and orange pigments are called carotenoids. Just a little FYI. Okay, so one of the reactants of photosynthesis is water. So 6 waters will enter into photosynthesis, or into the chloroplast, in the light-dependent cycle. So let's draw a water molecule here. This is how we're going to draw our waters. We have a little H with our 2 oxygens. Water is going to enter into this thylakoid space, and it's going to be hit by the sun's energy. When energy from the sun strikes this water, it gets excited. And when it gets excited, the water molecule is going to split. Oxygen is released as a byproduct for us to breathe. So let's fill in part of our reaction up here. We have water going in, and it's going to release 6 oxygens. Where did the hydrogens go, though? The hydrogens are released, little hydrogen ions now, and that energy is going to move down and it will be useful in the next set of reactions. So this is going to produce enough energy to power the Calvin cycle, and this is happening through an electron transport chain, which is changing energy forms while this is happening. So we are producing energy to power the Calvin cycle. This is the electron transport chain. So this energy is helping to turn ADP into a TP. Remember, that's the energy that our cells use. This is called ATP synthase. We also have some extra little energy carriers that are going to grab this energy. These are NAD, H, and FAD. They're going to grab our little excited electrons, or our little ions here. Okay. When the sunlight strikes the water molecule and splits it, when it gets excited, this is called photolysis. So let's write a little bit about what's happening in photolysis. The light strikes the water and splits it. Oxygen leaves, and the hydrogen ions are left behind. The little H's are ions now because they're slightly charged. These hydrogens are going to find the NAD and the FAD2. They're going to get together and be energy storage carriers. NADP, by the way, NADP, we'll see this in a minute, is going to stand for nicotinamide, adenine, dinucleotide phosphate. It's another energy carrier. Okay, so all of this is part of the light cycle. Now, light dependent means that it depends on sunlight to function. If there is no sunlight, this part of the cycle won't be happening. The dark cycle, though, can proceed in the absence of sunlight. Here, our location is in the stroma. That is the all of the in-between space between the thylakoids. Carbon dioxide is going to be taken in by the plant. So the plant takes in 6 carbon dioxide. That's what our carbon dioxide is going to look like. So carbon dioxide goes into the stroma, and it's fixed. So this process is called carbon fixation. Basically meaning it's just changed into a different molecule. So the carbon dioxide enters into the stroma. It gets some help from the energy that's been stored in these energy carriers. It's going to add the hydrogen ions in and then rearrange into glucose, which is food for the plants. It's a form of sugar. Glucose is C6H12O6. So our last product is glucose. Food for the plant. Let's look a little bit more closely at where the molecules in glucose comes from. So we have CO2 entering into the stroma. This C comes from the carbon dioxide. The hydrogen comes from the hydrogen ions from the water. From water. And then our oxygen also comes from carbon dioxide. Glucose contains the elements carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and it ends in OSE, which makes this a carbohydrate. This is what plants use as their food source. The whole process, photosynthesis, is happening in the chloroplast. Here is our equation up here, highlighted to show which location it is happening in. We have our energy storage molecules. So energy is being stored in these molecules. Try to fit that in there. Make it a little bubble. Keep it separate. Okay. Now, a couple of things to notice about this process. Nowhere in here do you see soil. Plants don't have to have soil to grow. It's helpful because the soil contains nutrients and they can pull water from the soil, but not absolutely necessary. I hope you have enjoyed our photosynthesis notes for today. Have a great day. I'll see y'all later.